Hi, it's Mark, top local lead generation. We're here with Mr. Bernie Pawlik of the award-winning Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, 16-time winners of Best Auto Repair in Vancouver. How are you doing today, Bernie?
I'm doing very well.
So we're going to talk about G-Wagons, my favorite. Everybody should have a G-Wagon. 2001 with an oil pan gasket leak. What was going on with this massive vehicle?
So this massive vehicle, yeah, it's I don't know if everyone should have a G-Wagon, but they're an interesting vehicle for sure, and very popular around these parts. I don't know why, because they never go off-road, although they could actually be the ideal off-road vehicle. They're pretty incredibly built. Anyways, this G-Wagon is for sale from a dealership that we deal with, and they were just preparing it for sale, and they had a couple of oil leaks, one from the valve cover gasket, and the other from coming out of the bottom rear of the engine. So it did turn out to be an oil pan gasket, but initially we weren't 100% certain. Needed to do a bit of diagnosis on it first of all. But yeah, that's what we replaced, is the oil pan gasket eventually.
So what's involved in changing the oil pan gasket? That's got to be a pretty big service.
It is a pretty big job in this vehicle, and actually finding the leak was interesting. So I'll just share a couple of pictures here. And so this is our beautiful G-Wagon. It's a 2001 in beautiful shape, only about 50,000 kilometers, and still selling for $50,000, believe it or not. These vehicles it just blows me away how much value they hold. I mean, they are very well built, but for a 15-year-old vehicle, it's a chunk of change. And this one, 50,000 kilometers, still practically brand new. This is a view of the bottom of the vehicle. We're looking at the transmission bell housing right there. Sorry, the bottom of the engine oil pan towards the transmission. And the red arrow points to where you can see some oil seeping out of the engine. Not a huge leak at this point, but it's definitely a leak. And after removing the transmission, we found the leak clearly coming from this area right here, which is the joint, that arrow points right to the joint where the valve cover joins up to the engine block. And with the transmission out, we could get a very clear view of the rear main crankshaft seal, which is another possible leak source. And there was absolutely no leakage from there whatsoever. So we're extremely confident that we had our leak nailed down.
So you pulled transmission off in order to completely diagnose where this leak was coming from?
We did. I mean, it's a bit of a gamble to do that, because you can change the oil pan gasket without taking the transmission out. But it's really impossible to find out where the oil is leaking without removing the transmission in this case, because the way that the bell housing is designed and the way the engine's built, there's just absolutely no way to see where the oil is leaking short of removing the transmission. The good thing with this vehicle is that the oil leak had just, I don't know if it just started, but it was pretty minimal. And so we were actually able to get a good idea once we removed the transmission of exactly where it was coming from. If you leave a leak till it gets bad and oil sprays around everywhere, it becomes a lot more difficult to find the cause of the leak.
Yeah, with spinning parts and stuff, I guess it gets spread all over, and then you don't know where the heck it's coming from.
Exactly. Now, we have some pretty good techniques at our shop that we use, and a lot of other shops use them as well, to find oil leaks. One of them, one is cleaning the leaked area and then driving it and finding out where the oil is leaking from. The other is we can add an ultraviolet dye to the engine oil. We run it for a little while, and then we can look with special glasses and a special UV light, and we can see where the fresh oil is coming from. But again, in the case of this vehicle, there's no way that any of those techniques are going to make any difference, because all it's going to tell us is that the oil is leaking from the back of the engine.
So how was the pan gasket replacement?
Well, once with the transmission out, actually the pan gasket replacement was quite simple. With the transmission out of the way, it actually made the pan removals easy. With the transmission in, it would be a lot more complicated to get the oil pan out. So it benefited having it out. The gasket is actually a silicone type form of gasket material. So we basically cleaned everything up, put the new gasket material in, bolted it all together, and road tested it, verified it was all good.
And so this vehicle now has probably zero chance of any kind of oil leak in that area for many years to come.
Absolutely. Should be good for a long time. 15 years old it took to leak to this point, so it should be another 15 before it leaks again.
So if you want your vehicles to last, and that's one of the specialties of Pawlik Automotive, these are the guys to call. Check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com, or call to book 604-327-7112. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. I'll talk to you again soon.